Have you ever noticed that the moment someone starts getting close to you, something inside you suddenly wants to create distance? You might like them. You might trust them. You might even want them in your life. But then they get a little too close.
They ask how you're really feeling.
They start expecting you to open up. They become emotionally important to you, and suddenly you feel uncomfortable. So you become quieter. You take longer to reply. You stop sharing as much. Maybe you tell yourself you just need space. Maybe you convince yourself that they are too needy, too emotional, or simply not the right person. But sometimes, the person you're pushing away isn't actually the problem. Sometimes, closeness itself is triggering something. Something your mind learned a long time ago. And the strange part is, you may not even realize you're doing it. Because pushing people away doesn't always look like rejection. Sometimes it looks like becoming extremely independent. Sometimes it looks like saying, "I'm fine," when you're clearly not. Sometimes it looks like suddenly losing interest after someone shows genuine interest in you. Sometimes it looks like finding tiny flaws in someone you were beginning to love, until those flaws become a reason to leave. And sometimes it looks like disappearing completely. The other person is left wondering, what did I do? While inside your own mind, you may be asking a completely different question. Why do I suddenly feel like I can't breathe? Here's where the story gets interesting. People often assume that someone who pushes others away doesn't care. But psychology tells us something much more complicated can happen. Sometimes, the person who pushes you away is actually the person who desperately wants connection. They just don't know how to feel safe inside it. Because somewhere along the way, their brain learned a dangerous equation. Closeness equals vulnerability, and vulnerability equals pain. So when someone gets close, their mind doesn't only see love, it also sees risk. The closer you get, the more there is to lose. Imagine someone who spent years learning how to survive emotionally by depending only on themselves. Maybe they grew up in a home where emotions weren't talked about. Maybe affection was inconsistent. Some days they felt loved, and other days they felt ignored. Maybe whenever they showed sadness, they were told to toughen up. Maybe asking for help made them feel weak. Or maybe they trusted someone deeply once, and that trust ended in betrayal. Whatever the story was, their brain learned something from it. Don't need too much. Don't trust too quickly. Don't become dependent. Because if you don't need anyone, nobody can disappoint you. And that belief can follow someone into adulthood, without them even realizing it. They become incredibly self-sufficient. They solve their own problems. They rarely ask for help. They keep their emotions private. From the outside, they look strong, mature, independent. But underneath that independence, there can be a nervous system that has learned to associate emotional closeness with danger. So when someone says, "You can talk to me," instead of feeling relief, something inside them becomes uncomfortable. When someone says, "I really care about you," instead of simply accepting it, their mind starts searching for the catch. And this is where the first pattern begins, creating distance when intimacy increases. At first, everything feels easy. You text constantly. You laugh together. You share personal stories. You start imagining a future. You feel excited. But then something changes. The other person becomes emotionally invested. They start asking deeper questions. They want more consistency. They want to know where the relationship is going. And suddenly, the same person you couldn't stop thinking about starts feeling overwhelming. Their messages feel like pressure. Their attention feels like responsibility. Their affection feels like something you need to escape from. So you pull back. The confusing part is, you may genuinely believe you've lost feelings. But sometimes what you've lost isn't attraction. It's your sense of emotional safety. Your brain has moved from, "I like this person," to, "This person can hurt me." And those two thoughts can feel incredibly similar from the inside. You don't consciously think, "I'm scared of intimacy." You simply think, "Something feels off," so you create distance. And the moment the distance returns, you feel relief. That relief teaches your brain something powerful. Pulling away makes the discomfort disappear. And now, the cycle has been reinforced. This leads to the second pattern, finding reasons to leave. Once someone gets close enough to matter, your brain suddenly spots everything wrong with them. They text too much. They don't text enough. They're too emotional. They're not emotional enough. Their habits annoy you. You start comparing them to other people. You replay little moments and turn them into evidence that the relationship won't work. And sometimes, you aren't discovering problems. You're collecting escape routes, because if you can convince yourself they're not right for you, then you don't have to confront the scarier possibility. Maybe you actually care about them. And caring means vulnerability. It means uncertainty. It means giving another person the ability to affect you. For someone who has learned to survive through emotional control, that can feel terrifying. Then comes the third pattern, becoming emotionally unavailable right when you are needed. You may be incredibly good at helping other people. You listen to their problems. You give advice. You support them when they're struggling. But when someone tries to do the same for you, you suddenly shut down.
"I don't want to bother you. I'll handle it. It's not a big deal."
You may even feel uncomfortable when someone takes care of you, because receiving support requires something your mind has spent years avoiding.
Letting another person see that you have needs too.
And here's the irony. You may desperately want someone who understands you, while simultaneously making it almost impossible for anyone to understand you. You want someone to notice when you're struggling, but when they ask what's wrong, you say, "Nothing." You want someone to stay, but when they get close, you give them reasons to leave. You want connection, but you protect yourself from the very vulnerability required to create it. The fourth pattern is even more subtle, testing people without realizing you're testing them. You might take longer to reply, just to see if they chase you.
You might become distant to see whether they'll notice. You might stop initiating conversations and wait to see if they reach out first.
You might think, if they really care, they'll come after me. But underneath that behavior is often a hidden question. Will you still choose me if I make it difficult?
You're looking for proof that they won't abandon you. But the problem is, these tests can create the exact rejection you're afraid of. Because healthy relationships can't survive constant guessing games. Eventually, the other person becomes confused. They don't know whether you want closeness or distance. They don't know whether you're interested or uninterested. And eventually, they may stop trying. Then your brain looks at the outcome and says, "See, people always leave," without realizing that the fear of abandonment helped create the distance that led to it.
But there is another reason people push others away, and this one has nothing to do with childhood. Sometimes people have simply been hurt too many times.
After repeated betrayal, rejection, manipulation, or disappointment, your brain becomes predictive. It starts looking for patterns before they happen. Someone doesn't reply for a few hours, and your mind remembers every person who disappeared before. Someone becomes distant, and your brain prepares for abandonment. Someone makes a mistake, and your mind immediately asks, "Is this the beginning of the end?"
This is why some people leave before they can be left. They don't wait for the relationship to become painful. They end it while they still have control.
And emotionally, that can feel safer. If I leave first, you can't abandon me. If I stop caring first, you can't break my heart. If I never become dependent on you, you can never have power over me. It looks like strength, but sometimes it's fear wearing the clothes of independence. And here's the part most people don't understand. The person pushing you away may be fighting two opposite needs at the exact same time. One part of them wants closeness, another part wants protection. One part says, "Please don't leave." Another says, "Don't get too close." One part wants to be understood. Another says,
don't let anyone see too much. So they move closer, then pull away. They open up, then shut down. They miss you, then ignore you. They want love, then become afraid of it. This internal conflict can make relationships incredibly exhausting. Not only for the person being pushed away, but for the person doing the pushing too. Because deep down, they may hate the pattern. They may watch relationships fall apart and wonder, why do I keep doing this? They may genuinely want something healthy, but the moment healthy intimacy appears, their nervous system starts treating it like a threat.
So how do you break the pattern? The answer isn't becoming more dependent. It's not forcing yourself to trust everyone. And it's definitely not pretending your fears don't exist.
The first step is learning to notice the moment when your brain starts creating distance. Ask yourself one simple question. Do I actually want to leave? Or do I just want to stop feeling vulnerable? Those are two completely different things.
The second step is learning to separate discomfort from danger. Feeling exposed doesn't automatically mean you're unsafe. Missing someone doesn't mean you're weak.
Needing support doesn't mean you're dependent. Caring deeply doesn't mean you've lost control. Sometimes, your nervous system is simply experiencing something unfamiliar.
And unfamiliar doesn't always mean dangerous. The third step is communication. Instead of disappearing, try saying what is actually happening. I care about you, but I notice I pull away when I feel overwhelmed.
That one sentence can change an entire relationship. Because suddenly, the other person isn't left guessing. They understand that your distance isn't necessarily rejection. It's something you're learning to work through.
And finally, stop measuring love by how perfectly you can protect yourself from pain.
You cannot build a meaningful relationship without uncertainty. You cannot love someone deeply without giving them the ability to affect you. And you cannot experience real connection while constantly standing at the exit. Maybe the goal isn't to stop pushing people away overnight. Maybe the goal is simply to notice the moment you reach for the door and pause. Ask yourself what you're actually running from. Is it them? Or is it the feeling of being seen?
Is the relationship truly wrong for you? Or does closeness simply feel unfamiliar? Because sometimes, the person you are trying hardest to escape isn't the person in front of you.
It's the fear your mind has been carrying for years.
And if you've recognized yourself in this video, remember this. You are not incapable of love. You are not cold. You are not broken. You may simply have learned to protect yourself so well that your protection started blocking the very connection you wanted. The good news is, what was learned can be unlearned. Slowly, safely, one honest conversation at a time.
Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't walking away. It's staying long enough to discover that this time, you might actually be safe.